Hey guys, now I'm going to do this intro to this video. This is going to be a montage of what happened the day I got Gizmo, my second leopard gecko. Right now, Gizmo is in his enclosure that we built. You'll see a time lapse of us doing that. So this is the story of how I got Gizmo. It started on Saturday the 20th when I got this paper from Pecto about a reptile rally. Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Hayden's Fish and Reptiles. I'll be your host, Hayden Fisher, and today we're going to get some new animals and some new supplies. I'll walk you through it. It's this, the reptile rally at Pecto. It's got 50% off all reptiles, sponsored by ZoomEd. Bring your reptile to Pecto for a special digital portrait. Well, you see, quarantining reptiles is a very important thing for you to do. If you're going to cohab reptiles like leopard geckos, I wouldn't advise it because leopard geckos are mostly solitary in the wild and they can get very territorial if you put two males together and a male and a juvenile together. You're not going to have a good result if you do that. And if you put a male and a female together, if it happens, you need to prepare for babies. So cohabbing leopard geckos is out of the question. Cohabbing bearded dragons, the animal on the cover, impossible. Very territorial. Well, see you at Pecto. 3, 2, 1. So we went to Pecto and got Gizmo. Now this is the time lapse of us cleaning out the tank, pouring the eco earth in, and soon we're going to escape the tank where it will be perfect for the new leopard gecko, Gizmo. So at this point, I was really excited to get the new gecko. So I took out Gizmo and put him in the enclosure. Now, a few weeks before this, I went to PetSmart and I saw a gecko that had a really pretty coloring on it. And that gecko looked pretty similar to this gecko. And this gecko looked like a natural morph, which has lots of spots on it. They're almost black, which is really cool to have a natural morph leopard gecko since they're pretty rare in the wild. Most of the time you'll find them is in a pet store being captive bred. So this was a pretty interesting experience. At that time she had a pretty slim tail, but we're going to fatten her up and give her the healthy plumpness that you should see in a baby leopard gecko. Now she's doing well. We've had her for around 2 or 3 days, and we're already getting pretty good results. She's been gaining some weight, so that's good. About a month prior, we visited Pecto and saw Gizmo. I thought that we should get Gizmo because she was drinking and very healthy. So this next footage, I am amazed to show you. I hope you like it. Gizmo, she will wag that tail like a mad rattlesnake when she sees food. It's really amazing to see it. Alright, so you saw the time lapse of us building Gizmo's enclosure, and you've seen her wag her little tail. I'm here with my crested gecko, Nico, and while we were there at Pecto, I noticed that the people at Pecto, they had a few leopard gecko care misinformation little talks with us. You see, it makes me so mad how sometimes people impulse buy animals And the only way they get their research is by listening to the pet store employees. If you're going to employ to the pet store, it's okay if you have 0 previous interactions with animals. Some pet stores might have regulations against that, yet that's with most of the pet stores. So these are people who you're trusting to give you correct information, and they don't know about these animals. Now, mishap number 1 that I got from Pecto is they said leopard gecko eyes are sensitive. Okay, I'm alright with that. Just saying their eyes are sensitive isn't really that bad. And then they recommended using heat mats. So heat mats, I still wouldn't have been alright with the heat mat, even if they did recommend a thermostat. Now, a thermostat is what you set to regulate the temperature of a heater and what it heats to. And most people buy them without that. They think, oh, it's like an aquarium heater. It will heat up to the right temperature and it will stay like that. No, it won't. It will overheat and your gecko will get burned. And heat mats, they only concentrate the heat in one area of the enclosure. That prevents the animal from going anywhere else in the enclosure in fear of getting cold. Now, leopard geckos are supposed to have a hot side and a cold side, but the cold side shouldn't be completely without heat. It should still be good where it has a sort of an increase in heat temperature. Basically, it's not going to chill your gecko away from going there. We've got a UVB light in Gizmo's enclosure, and in the other room we've got a heat lamp in Frank's enclosure. Now, I suggest using either the Arcadia DP projector, but not everyone has those because they're not in the UK. Yet, a good way to get another heat source is a ceramic heat emitter. It produces heat without the disturbance of light. You can see my crested gecko enclosure in the back. I'll do more on this little guy in some other episodes. Yet, mishap number 2. Not only did they mistake on leopard gecko heating, they also mistaked on leopard gecko substrates. And they talked about breeders recommending ReptiCarpet. You see, I use ReptiCarpet in Frank's enclosure, yet I have to take it out and replace it every time it needs a cleaning. And sometimes that's a pain. And when your crickets roam free in the enclosure with the calcium powder, they make little trails. That's also a pain to clean up, because you also have to take out the ReptiCarpet. Although it's not just that's the problem. Leopard geckos live in the desert where there's rocky grasslands, no sand. That's why it fools people to not lose substrates. Now, in my video where I do a time lapse on how to build the enclosure, I showed that I use Eco-Earth. That's a naturalistic substrate. You may think, too high of a humidity, lung disease. That's what the Pecto employee said too. You can dry out the Eco-Earth and prevent it from getting too moist, just like I use Eco-Earth in Nico's enclosure. If it gets humid in Nico's enclosure, that's alright, he's a jungle lizard. He needs humidity between 50 and 80%. Yet leopard geckos need humidity between 30 and 50%. 50% at most. So that would be good to use Eco-Earth. Not only can it be dried out, but it can also be digged. Inside of Gizmo's enclosure over there, sometimes I raise the level of Eco-Earth in Gizmo's hide, and when I check on her the next morning, she completely dug that Eco-Earth out and she was sitting in the hide. So Gizmo knows how to dig, just like all the other leopard geckos. They have an instinct to dig. They also recommended what breeders recommend. I don't have anything against breeders. It's just that leopard geckos can breed in very poor conditions. If you think about it, breeding is just the natural instinct to continue the species. It's not really special if you can make reptiles breed. I mean, it probably could be for really specialized species, yet leopard geckos are a pretty basic animal in their care, tank size, husbandry, so breeding would be pretty simple too. Now, as I said, leopard geckos can breed under very poor conditions. That doesn't mean that they're going to recommend you good conditions. You see, the problem with using ReptiCarpet, especially if you're a breeder, is because your female leopard geckos will have no room to dig whatsoever in the enclosure, which is just not good, because reptiles have an instinct to burrow into the ground, and when females are about to lay eggs, make nests for them to lay in. So, hopefully, Pecto will start recommending information that can be reliable for leopard geckos. I'll tell you whether or not they recommend some good stuff or some bad stuff. Now, the reason why I didn't get all upset and stood up for my beliefs when the Pecto employee said to not use Eco-Earth because it would cause impaction is because even though it won't cause impaction, if she recommended calci sand, I would have gotten really mad. Calci sand is just the worst thing you could use. You see, leopard geckos, they seek calcium as source of nutrients, and they would just eat the calcium sand en masse if they realized that it was that nutritious for them. So, overall, Pecto, they said a few things wrong to me, yet that didn't really make me that mad. I was just trying to get the gecko, get the supplies I needed, and then get out of there. Bye everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to see more of Nico, the fish, and the other reptiles. Bye.